So this is a video response for Linds Dance 4, Linds Dance 4. I'm a subscriber of hers, so check out my subscriptions. I'm relatively new to her videos, but they're really interesting. It reminds me a lot of what I was going through, I guess about 2 years ago. So, anyway, she just made a video called I Need Advice, or yeah, I Need Advice. And it reminds me a lot of something that happened to me. I was going through a lot of weight issues, restricting. I've never had an eating disorder, but I've had issues, and I was dieting way too much, and just in really dumb ways, and just out of control, kind of all over the place. And at that time, I found that anytime I had alcohol, um, which happens to be in her story as well, I would go insane, and I would think about things that bugged me but weren't necessarily a big deal, but would just come out of the background of my mind and just come forward and attack me, and I would just go nuts and want to kill myself. I even started cutting a little bit, and not actually, I was never actually suicidal, but I just I would have these crazy thoughts that were just not me. And finally, after one day, Ed and I got in a huge fight. My boyfriend and I got in a huge fight, and I slammed the door on him. And I was freaking out. I was screaming and like out of control, insane, a little bit drunk, but still way out there. And Ed told me, he was like, you're not being yourself. Do you think it's because you recently changed birth control pills? Which I had recently changed birth control pills. I was on a generic, sort of a generic of what I was on previously. And I had been for about a month and a half, which was enough time for it to affect me. And of course, at the time, I was like, how dare you! Just really pissed off and don't blame this on my emotions! This is your fault! And insane. I describe myself as being the Incredible Hulk because I was so upset about stuff. And I would go through these things of hating myself and cutting, like I said, which I don't know if I've ever told you guys. And just insane. And then, next morning I'd be fine and back to what I thought was my normal self and everything. So eventually I figured out it was that birth control. I switched off of that back to my normal one. I still was a little insane, but not as insane. So I still, I wouldn't quite turn into the Incredible Hulk, but I still had these problems, especially when I had alcohol, of just breaking down and just hating myself and having these thoughts that I guess must have been in the back of my mind, but I never realized that. And so later, as you guys saw in my videos, I got an IUD instead, and instead of the hormone pills, I was taking Yasmin at the time. And now, I don't go crazy. I don't know. I mean, I cry, but I used to, when I cried back then, I would stuff my face in the pillow and scream as loud as I could. Oh, it was insane. And of course, I do have issues. Of course, like, things aren't just hunky-dory now, or I've never used that term before. I don't know where that came from. But things are much better. Much, much better. And I don't feel as out of control. And I don't have any crazy thoughts of suicide. I don't have, I don't cut myself. No matter how terrible I feel about myself, it never gets that low anymore. And, I don't know, I feel like I've gone through a lot worse things than I was back then, now, and recently, and I take a much more level-headed approach to it, and I feel much more like myself. So I don't know if that helps, if that even applies to you, but it is possible that that those thoughts that you didn't even know were there, that come forward when you have a couple drinks, or maybe even not, but just those thoughts that come forward randomly like that might not necessarily be you, and can be hormones. And I haven't really done an update since my IUD. I love my IUD. It's the best thing ever. Of course, it's not for everyone. My periods are a little bit worse, but the peace of mind for not getting pregnant, and the birth control method without hormones is just priceless to me. I feel so much more like myself. I've always been a happy-go-lucky kind of person, and I feel a lot more so than I did for the 3 or 4 years that I was on birth control. So, and really, I don't feel like my life is any better. In fact, I think I have a lot more reasons to be stressed out and freaking out and stuff now than I did back then, but I can handle that stuff a lot better now. And I don't think part of it might be maturity levels and stuff and just life experience, but I really feel like I was not myself when I was on birth control. And although at the time I didn't notice the difference, but now that I've been off of it, I think back to those times and I'm like, whoa, that was insane. And so I don't know. I'm really happy with my IUD, and my eating issues have gotten a lot better, but that also has a lot to do with just time, exercise. If you watch my weight training video and protein video, that has helped me tons and tons and tons, and just time and not messing around with my hormones helps a lot. So I hope maybe that has something to do with what you're going through. And otherwise, I would say for a while I cut out alcohol completely because I really could not handle it. Like I said, I would just self-destruct, like just awful when I had even just a drink, just a little bit tipsy, and then I'd just go overboard. And so it might be good to stop that for a while, think about things, and just go from there. So good luck.